Sonya Hotel in St. Petersburg. It's a project. We got approached by the Baltic country's largest hotel company, and they finally, after many years, got a project in a hotel project in St. Petersburg in Russia, the highly interesting market of hotel market of Russia. There was only one problem. Their brand was totally unknown in the country in Russia, so they wanted us to do something about that. So we started up going to St. Petersburg and visiting all the existing hotels. And after 1 week, we had a strong feeling and a sense that the hotels were very Americanized. There was either Sheratons or Hiltons, or hotels trying to look like Sheraton and Hiltons. And this fact became more and more awkward and strange, because more people from the city that we learned to know, we found that St. Petersburg is the official cultural capital of Russia. And the people there are extremely proud over the culture that they have given to the world. Their theaters, their ballet dancers, their museums, their authors, their books that they have written. And at some point we read an article, an interview of a Russian famous St. Petersburgian chef. And the last question the American journalist asked him was, what is the best guidebook to St. Petersburg? And he answered it in a very Russian manner. He said, read Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky. And we thought, why not? That's our story. That's the story to the hotel. If we can translate Crime and Punishment by Fyodor Dostoevsky into a hotel. The only problem left was that we had the Reval company, who also was a little bit Hiltonish wannabes, with ties and really strict hotel company. So the problem there was to kind of convince them that we were going to take the whole investment and base it upon a story about a young man that chops the head off an old woman with an axe, with a lot of blood. And after a full day, we managed to convince them, after explaining how extremely famous and how extremely important and how extremely proud the Russians are of the book. Then they finally said yes. And then we started off studying Russian design and home design, and how the Russians are making their homes. So we really wanted to make a Russian hotel, because we thought that made absolutely the most sense. And we put references to the book. For example, when you enter the hotel, you meet this big bookshelf with used Crime and Punishment. I think we collected more than 100 different languages. And we have the Russian patterns, the reference to the book everywhere. And actually, when we opened the hotel, we had, the day of the opening, we had a hotel who was world famous. We had a hotel who was having 8 million free ambassadors in the city that really liked it. And that's a really good start for a hotel. So one of the results was that 2 months after the opening, the front desk gets a telephone call from Valentina Machenko's secretary, the mayor of St. Petersburg. And the secretary says that tomorrow Valentina is coming and to cut the ribbon for the grand opening. And the receptionist said very scarily that it's not our opening tomorrow, it must be a misunderstanding. And she said, yes, it is, and she will come at noon. So they had to kind of flew in all the owners quickly and arrange with flowers and everything. And 12 o'clock she comes with a tail of like 60 journalists. She cuts the ribbon, and she also brought another person, the manager of the Dostoevsky Museum. And she prepared a document to sign for both the owner, the manager of the hotel, and the manager of the museum. And the document said that the two of you have the task for all future to promote our great son, Fyodor Dostoevsky, to the world. She also brought another person, Mr. Dmitri Dostoevsky, who is the only descendant left directly down to Fyodor Dostoevsky, the great Dmitri Dostoevsky. He's a tram driver in the city, and his great-grandfather was the great author. And he's not a tram driver anymore. He's now an ambassador for the hotel. Basically, he's employed. He can eat and drink there for free for the rest of his life. And he has a special little hook in the restaurant where he hangs his coat and his hat with a spotlight on. And now he's instead of driving trams, he's touring with tourists in the characters of the book's footsteps around in the evening, and he's having dinners with journalists and people that are interested in the story. And I actually learned a few days after that the mayor of St. Petersburg, this was the first hotel she ever opened. Hotels were considered too small and too unimportant for her. She was doing bridges and opera houses, but she heard about it, and she thought it had such a relevance for the city. So she made that call and made that arrangement. So we actually ended up with a hotel with 8 million ambassadors who didn't cost anything for the hotel. And we ended up with a hotel that was world famous at the time it opened its doors. And who wouldn't want that?